Hi there, my name's Win. I'm here in Denver, Colorado, and as part of our happiness team, I help customers like yourself with their websites every single day. I'm really glad you've chosen WordPress.com. It's the best way to build and then launch a website and then have it perform really well over time, regardless of what you're building. In this video, we're going to go from 0 to 100, from building a site to launched out there on the internet in just 10 steps. Step 1 is going to be signing up for a WordPress.com account. To do that, you'll start by going to WordPress.com. From there, you can select Get Started at the top right. And then from here, you'll be prompted to enter your email address, choose a username, choose a password, and then create your WordPress.com account. You can also create an account with an existing Google or Apple account. Once your WordPress.com account has been created, you'll be prompted to search for and add a domain to your website. Now, the domain name is what's going to show up in the address bar when people come to your site, and it's also what you can advertise to let people know about your new website. So because of this, it's important to pick a domain name that's easy to spell. Depending on the type of site, it can be important to have keywords about the type of business it is. If it's a portfolio site, you might want to have your name as the domain name. For this example, I thought it would be fun to create a website kind of related to food that would have a blog component, as well as different products like a cookbook and things like that. So if we come in here and search for pasta as an example, we can see what domain names are available. So we can see ravioli.blog is available, which is actually a pretty good one there. It might be too narrow for my example that I want to go with here. So instead, we could search for foodislife.blog and see what's available here. So we can see that domain is available. So we'll go ahead and select it. And then from here, I'll be prompted to select a plan that meets my needs. So each different plan has its own set of features, and you can view those from here. So for example, our premium plan comes with live chat support. Our business plan and e-commerce plan will give you the option to install plugins and third-party themes, as well as some advanced SEO tools. So it really depends on the features you need and what plan would suit those needs. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and start with the business plan. Now that we've registered a domain name and selected a plan, it's time to start working on the site. A good first step is to find a theme that you like. So a theme determines kind of the layout of the site and the overall appearance. So to get started, we can go to Appearance and then Themes. And from here is a full list of all of the themes that we have to offer. So there's over 100 themes on WordPress.com. And when you're looking for a theme, you'll want to pay attention to kind of this header section here. So whether the name of the site is to the left or in the center, and also just if you like the layout of any of these themes here. So when looking for a theme, you can click these 3 dots and then see a live demo, activate the theme, or get more information about the theme. So in this case, let's take a look at the live demo of Xford. And you can see, the desktop view. All themes are going to be responsive, so you can see how it would look on a tablet, how it would look on a smartphone. So you can see some of these elements change depending on the device that someone's going to be viewing the site from. So this one looks good. Let's go ahead and activate Xford. And then you'll be prompted to use your existing homepage. So if you were working on a homepage, but you like the menu and the overall header layout of a different theme, you can continue with your homepage. Or you can use the demo content from what you see here. So in this case, we'll use Xford's homepage content. So we'll activate Xford. And then from here, we can edit homepage, which we'll take a look at next. Now that we've selected a theme, we can start working on the homepage. So the homepage is important because it's what someone is going to see when they first come to your website. And depending on the site, you might have different goals for the homepage, whether that's to show your latest blog posts, sell products, build an email list or generate leads. Really depends on the type of site you're creating. And to get started with the homepage, what we can do is we can either edit the page from here, or if we click on Pages on this left menu, we can see all pages associated with the site, and we can see our homepage here. So when you open up your homepage, you'll be presented with the block editor. So the whole page is going to be composed of blocks stacked on top of each other, and you can click around and get a feel for the different blocks being used throughout the page. And there are 3 different elements to the block editor. There's this top navigation bar where you can add new blocks, new block patterns. Anytime you make changes, if you want to go back, you can undo your changes here. There's also a block navigation panel, so you can see kind of the structure of this page and what blocks are being used to construct the page. You'll also see there's some breadcrumbs down here at the bottom left. These can be super helpful as you're working on the site, so you can get a feel for what blocks are being used. So for example, I click on this heading here, we can see that this is a heading block on top of a cover block. So say you wanted to select the cover block and not the heading block. You could select cover from here, and then this will bring you into this overall block here where you can then kind of play around with different settings, which leads us to this right-hand panel, which is another element of the block editor, which will show you specific settings for this block. So since we're on the cover block, we could make it a fixed background so then the image stays in place, but all of the content scrolls around it. There's different overlay settings. So if you wanted the text to be a little bit more legible with the image barely showing there, you could play around with the opacity. And different blocks will have different settings. So for example, if we click on this heading here, we can see that there's some different settings over here on this right-hand side. So that's the second element of the block editor. And the third is the main panel, the main block editor here in the middle. So this is just the view of the site where you can start to work on any changes that you need to make. So since we're creating a food related website, what we could try doing is selecting our cover block, clicking replace to change this image. And then there's a free photo library that can be really helpful for finding images that are free to use throughout the site. So let's find a food related image here. This one looks good. So you can see now we've got that new image there. And then from here, we could change this text to "Welcome to Food is Life." And start customizing all of this text throughout the site. And this could link to explore our recipes, and then we could link that to a recipe page with a full list of recipes, which could be added as blog posts. And we'll go over all of that. And then so you'll just continue to work your way down the page, making any changes to the existing content, as well as adding new content. So for example, say we wanted something in between these two elements. We could press this plus sign and then add as an example, a subscription form. So say we wanted to collect someone's email address so they can receive the latest updates from the website. We could add an email address form here. That's the subscription form block. And you can see on this right-hand side, there's all sorts of different things we can do to customize this even further. And say we wanted a little bit of context above this form. It can be helpful to insert before or after. So I click these 3 dots, and then we could insert before, and then put a heading block here that says, sign up for, our latest recipes. And then, example. So whatever you want to do there, you can customize the site accordingly. And then from here, we could come down here and let's put a different image in here. So back to the free photo library. Let's find a picture of a book. This could be an example of, selling a product here. Let's see if I can find a good example. All right, let's look for book. shelf. Okay, just put that one in as a placeholder. Get rid of the caption there. And then this could say, buy the cookbook. Or whatever you want this to say, and then this could link over to our shop. And then just continue your way down the page, customizing the different elements as you go. So we could put the same background gradient on this button as well to match the one above. And then you'll just continue to use the block settings, clicking to the different elements that you need to adjust. And then, when you're happy with the changes, you can update them to save any changes up here at the top. And the site hasn't been launched yet, so you can make updates without it going out to the world to see. When you're ready for the site to launch, all of your pages have been updated, you can then launch the site from here as well. So that's a brief overview of how you can edit the homepage. And we'll go over more about the block editor in a future video, future section of this video. Okay, stay tuned. Now that we've started to customize the homepage, we can add additional pages to the website. To do that, we'll go to All Pages here on the left-hand side. And from here, we see our site structure. So we can add a new page. So let's add a page for shop. So you can see there are some prompts for different page layouts. So if you were creating an about page, or a new blog page, different homepage layouts. These can just help you get started. If there's one of these that you like, you can repurpose it with your content, or you can just start with a blank page, which is what we'll do here. So you'd get the page of title, shop, and in this case, we can add products a couple different ways. So for example, if we type in payments, you'll see that there's a pay with PayPal option. There's a payment button that uses Stripe. And then there's premium content. So if you wanted to have certain blog posts behind a paywall, that's what you would use that one for. In this case, I want to just set up an example of a cookbook. So let's do, summer recipes as the name of our cookbook. Give it a description. It is $25. You can change your currency here. And then this would be an email address associated with a PayPal account. So wherever you want the money to go. Once someone makes a purchase, we want people to be able to buy more than one cookbook at a time. Let's give our book cover there. So once you fill out this information, this will convert that into a payment button that someone can then make the purchase on your website, and then you would fulfill that order, once the purchase has been made. So we'll go ahead and publish this page just as an example here. And then let's go back to our full list of pages. So now we can see that we have our shop page. And then if there's additional pages that you would want to add, like a services or a frequently asked questions or anything like that, you can do that same process by adding a new page to continue to expand the size and the structure of your website. Now that we've covered how to add additional pages to the website, we can update the menu to make it easy to find these pages throughout the site. So for example, if we take a look at the site here, we can see that our shop is not showing up yet. So having an easy to navigate website is super important. The menu needs to be clear right off the bat. So to get started with that, we can go to Appearance and then Menus. And this will take us into the customizer, into our list of menus, and we can then customize the menu. So in this case, this is our primary menu. So if we click into that, we can add items. So this is where we could add a link to our shop. And then to change the order, we can either drag these around or select reorder here, move the contact page down, and then now we have our shop in the main menu here. You can also create sub-menu items by clicking over to the right. So for example, say you wanted something tucked under shop. That's how you can begin to create drop-down menus, which can be helpful for organizing the site. This theme also has a social media menu, so you can see within our list of menus there's a social menu. If we click into that and then assign this as our social links menu, it will automatically convert these links into their respective social media icons. And you can add or remove from this list. So for example, if we click add item, say we don't want, Pinterest, but instead want LinkedIn as an example. So now you can see we've got that new icon there. So this will really depend on the kind of site you have and what corresponding social media accounts you have. But this is how you can then start to edit each of these menus accordingly. And so, for example, say we want, instead of that to say blog, we want it to say recipes. Since our blog is going to be a collection of recipes, we could change that to recipes. And this is green, but we set our icons to be kind of orange there. So to change that while we're here, we can go back to the customizer settings, colors and backgrounds, and this is where we can see that green link color. And instead we could pick our own color and try to find something that kind of matches, that orangey color that we're using for the button down here. And then we can see it's got kind of a blue hover color, so we could change that to maybe a red. So now those hover red, and then you can continue to customize from there. So we'll go ahead and save that change. So now we've got our site structure. We've changed the color to match what we're going for down here. And next we will take a look at adding additional functionality to the website. We'll now take a look at increasing the functionality of the website by using widgets and plugins. So to get started, we'll take a look at widgets, and we can add these to the website by going to Appearance and then Widgets. So from here, we can see that this is our widget area. This particular theme has a footer widget area, so different themes will have different locations where you can place widgets. So this one, they'll show up down here in the footer. And widgets are kind of like tools for the website that will show up on every page throughout the site. So if we click Add a Widget, you'll see all of these different things that you can add to the website. So for example, you could have an Instagram feed and show your latest Instagram posts at the bottom of every page throughout the site, or recent blog posts if you want those to show up on every page throughout the site, or a search function so people can search for different types of content. There's all sorts of different widgets for all sorts of different things, and this is where you can add those. So we'll go ahead and add, let's add a calendar so people can see, when posts have been published. So, if I have a blog post on Tuesday or Wednesday, it'll show that a post has been published then. So we'll go ahead and save changes. The other way you can really start to increase the functionality of your website is through plugins. So if we click on plugins here, we can start to look at all of the different plugins available. And these are kind of like apps on a smartphone. So depending on what you're looking for, you can usually find a plugin to help achieve that. So for example, WooCommerce is a very popular plugin for adding an e-commerce solution to your website. So the full shopping cart, different products, you can customize this however you need to, whether you're selling physical products or digital products or memberships, pretty much anything you can think of, you can use WooCommerce for that. Yoast SEO is another really popular plugin for increasing, how your site is performing in search results. So to get a feel for some of these, you can just click on the plugin, read a little bit about it, see if it would work for your needs. And then if you want to give it a try, you can then install and activate the plugin, and then work through the plugin's configuration to add it to your website. We'll now take a look at how you can start to drive traffic to your website. So once your site is up and running, it's going to be important to set it up in a way that search engines like, so it's easy to find your content when someone's looking for it. So there's a few different ways to get started. something I always like to take a look at is if we come to this tools and then marketing section. Within this section, there's a section for traffic. So you can see that there's a little notice that's just saying that my site is still coming soon. So that's just a little prompt to launch the site when it's ready. However, what I like to look at here is this front page meta description. So this can be super important. It's going to be an overview of what the site is all about, and it's what shows up when someone finds the homepage in Google. So including any keywords that you are trying to target can be very important to add here. So in this case, we're setting up kind of a food blog. So this would be an overview of, the types of recipes that someone can expect from the site. If there's specific keywords related to those recipes, we would want to include those in a couple sentences here, 160 characters. And then, so if we just type this as an example, you can see that this is customizing this piece of text that someone will see when they find your site in Google or other search engines. It's also what will be shared when someone finds your site on Facebook or Twitter or any of those social media accounts. So it's giving you the option to be very intentional about the keywords associated with your site, and this will be for the front page, so your home page. We can also take a look at blog posts. So I won't save those changes. If we come to our list of blog posts and open up one of these as an example, putting keywords throughout the post can also be important. So for example, the main keyword that you want to target, you would want to add to your heading, the title of your post here. So we can just do example keyword. You would want this example keyword in the first paragraph of the actual post. So you can put it there just as an example, and I'll make this bold so it kind of stands out. And then you would want it naturally throughout the post and any images associated with the post. So for example, let's go ahead and add a new block for an image here. Go into our media library, we can put in this kind of example image that we've been using. Let's put it in the center. Make it not so large here. So then you can also add it to the image settings here. So a little bit of a description about the image, including that keyword, can also be helpful. So this is going to be, if someone's using a screen reader, it'll tell them an overview of what this image is. And it's also a nice way that people can find your site when doing Google image searches. So if they're looking for a recipe and looking at the images, they might come across this because you put the keyword that you're targeting to be associated with the image as well. And then depending on your plan, there's going to be some other settings that you can use as well. So since I started this site with the business plan, if I click this Jetpack logo at the top right, you'll see that there's an SEO description box here. So this is where you can set a sentence or two explaining what this particular blog post is all about, including any of those keywords that you want to target. So similar to that front page meta description, except that this one is going to be for the individual blog post. And then, like we talked about in the last section, there are also plugins like Yoast SEO that can help you really optimize your SEO throughout the site. So it'll kind of score you on where you could improve and things like that. So whichever route you go, just keep in mind that SEO is very important. It can be very helpful for getting traffic to your website. Now that we've covered how to optimize your site from an SEO perspective, it can also be important to connect social media accounts to your website. For example, in a previous section, we covered how to edit these social media links here at the top. So as a reminder, we go to Appearance, Menus, and then from here, we can go into our social menu and customize these icons accordingly. Another thing you can do that can be very helpful is if we come to this Tools, Marketing, and then Connections here at the top, you can connect your site to different social media platforms so that those stay up to date automatically. So for example, if I connect to Facebook and Twitter, every time I publish a new blog post, it will automatically be shared to those social media accounts. So you keep the website up to date, and then the corresponding social media accounts will also stay up to date with the latest content from the website. And there's all sorts of different services that you can connect to from this connections piece here. Another thing you can do is customize the sharing buttons that appear below the blog posts. So these give people the option to share your content to different social media platforms. For example, if I read a blog post and I want to share it to my Facebook account, I could click Facebook here and then share that blog post that I want to share with my friends, family, whoever. And you can customize these sharing buttons to include different options as well. So for example, say you wanted to give people the option to share your blog post to Pinterest and give them the option to email it directly from the site. You can customize what appears from here. And then there's some different styles as well that you can choose from, however you want those to show up on the website. Some different options there. So connecting to social media accounts, making it easy for people to share the content can be very helpful ways to get more traffic to the website. And those are a couple ways that you can do that. One other option, since in a previous section we covered widgets, let's take a look. I won't save those changes here. There's a social icons widget. So if you wanted your social media links to show up here at the top of the site and also in the footer, you could have a follow us section down here where you then add all of the different social media accounts. Once you paste in the URL, it will automatically convert that URL to a link so then someone can follow your website. Now that we've covered how to set up the structure of the site, start working with blocks to customize the content throughout the site, it's time to launch the site. So to do that, we can go to My Home, and then right here you can see there's a section for Launch Site. The other place you can do this is under Settings. From here, there's a Privacy section where you can launch the site, and then if you ever need to change it back to Coming Soon or Private, you can do that from here. And once the site's launched, you can continue to work on it while it's live. Keep in mind it can take Google and the different search engines some time to find a new site and start putting it in their results wherever it makes sense. Something to help with that is to blog on the site regularly. So in this example, it's kind of a site geared towards having a blog and posting new content regularly. However, even for business sites, for brick and mortar stores, most sites can benefit from a blog. So as an example, if we come to posts, we can see these 3 example posts here. Something that might be helpful would be to add a section to the homepage to show these blogs. So for example, if we come to Pages and back into Home, we could come down here and add a section if we add a heading block, we could have latest posts. And then there's a blog post block that will automatically pull any blog posts from the list of posts onto the homepage here. And you can change the look of this by on this right-hand side. If we go to our block settings, we can say, okay, let's show no excerpt, no date, no author. Let's show these in a grid style. And if you add featured images to these posts, they'll start to show with images. And then there's all sorts of different settings that you can adjust here depending on how you want these posts to look. And then you can also decide, okay, I want to show my latest 2 posts, right? So you could have a column of 2 instead and just show 2 your featured recipes on the homepage and then a load more button if someone wants to view all of those. So we'll go ahead and update this. And I'll show you too real quick how adding a featured image can be very helpful here. So if we go back to our list of blog posts and open up one of these as an example, on this right-hand side, setting a featured image can be very helpful as just kind of a habit to form for these different posts. So if we set the same image from our homepage here as our featured image example, and then update this, now when we go look at that block that we just added to the homepage, you can see that it's pulling in the image for that particular post. So this is an example of a blog post that has a featured image. This one does not, so you can see it looks much better to have an image associated with that particular post. And like I said, this can just be a super helpful way to have people find out about your website. You're putting more content out there, giving people more opportunities to find your site throughout the internet. So that's kind of a quick overview of how to go from the demo content of a particular theme, how you can start swapping that out with your content, customizing the site to meet your needs, building out the structure depending on what you're trying to do with the site, expanding the functionality using plugins to, you could have a full e-commerce shop like we talked about with WooCommerce. There's plugins for all sorts of different things. And you can really expand the functionality of the website using plugins. And then just continuing to work on the site. So iterating as you go, making improvements, adding additional content, and really just, coming up with a site that you're happy with and that you're proud of. And once you're ready and it's in a good place, you can then launch the website and go from there.